Tes Zayin Nisan, the countdown begins. We start counting Sefirat HaOmer, the 49 days, the 7 weeks, till Shavuos. The Pasuk says, Usfartem lachem mimochras HaShabbos. You start to count from mimochras HaShabbos. The meaning of Shabbos in this context is from the day after first day of Pesach, meaning Tes Zayin Nisan. And the Pasuk says, Usfartem lachem mimochras HaShabbos, Sheva Shabbosos Tmimois Tiyenu. You count 7 complete weeks until the 50th day, Tispru Chamishim Yom. And a number of questions arise. Why does the Pasuk say Mimochras HaShabbos? Why does it call it Shabbos? And in fact, this was a source of controversy and machlokes for many years, as the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Chav Beis, details in recounts in great detail that the Baisusim, they maintained Shaloika Halacha that the count starts on Sunday, Mimochras HaShabbos, from the day after Shabbos. And the Gemara goes a great length to dispute the Baisusim that it does not mean Shabbos, it means the day of Tes Zayin Nisan. So why does the Pasuk use specifically the word of Shabbos, where this leaves it open for machlokes, which in fact occurred? And in the Pasuk, secondly, the Pasuk says the word Tispru twice. Mimochas HaShabbos Tispru, and then again at the end it says Tispru Chamishim Yom. What it seems to be like there's 2 countings here. What's the reference to this double lashon of Tispru, counting? The Zohar HaKadosh says that the Yesod of Sefirat HaOmer, the Yesod, the basis of this counting, was that Bnei Yisrael were in Mitzrayim in the Mem Tes Sharei Tumah. They were at the lowest depths of Tumah. And the Rabbi Shalom brought them out from these kaychas of Tumah, and therefore they counted every day. And every day they were elevated, and and removed from one level of this Tumah and brought under the sphere and brought under the kaychas of a level of Kedusha. And day by day, they were removed from a kayach of Tumah and elevated to a kayach of Kedusha until they came to the Chag of Shavuos. It was a process of purifying, of elevating Klal Yisrael to make them worthy of Kabbalas HaTorah. We know that the principle of Sefirat HaOmer is brought down in the Chinuch and brought down in the Alshich and other Meforshim, that it's day of counting as a day of anticipation, showing our excitement for Kabbalas HaTorah. But the Yesod brought down here as well is that it is a purifying process. It's a process of leaving Mitzrayim, of leaving the influence of Mitzrayim, the kaychas atumah of Mitzrayim, and coming closer, and being elevated, purifying ourselves, coming to Shavuos, the day of Matan Torah, to be worthy of Matan Torah, to be worthy of being a Mamlechas Kohana v'Goy Kadosh. And we learn out from here a very important basic principle, that in the Avodas Hashem, in coming closer to the Ribbono Shel Olam, in coming closer to the Torah, it's not only where we're going that's important. It's not only where we're going and where we want to go, but it's also important to leave behind where we have to depart from. It's not only where you're going, it's also what you're letting go of that's important. It's sur meira v'asei tov. And we have to let go and leave behind all the kaychas atumah. We have to leave behind all the baggage, all that's holding us back, and bringing us down. And we find this principle, one of the nisyonos of Avram Avinu was Lech Lecha. And many Meforshim ask, why was that such a nisoyon for Avram Avinu? Rabbi Shalom told him to go to Eretz Yisrael, I'll give you the land, and I'll bench you, I'll bless you with abundant blessings. What was the great nisoyon? But it is a nisoyon to be able to leave behind. And in Avram Avinu's case, it was to have no connection whatsoever with his earlier life and with the house of Terach, the house of Avodah Zorah, to have no connection whatsoever, to be a Beria Chadosh, to be newborn, newly created, without any connection to that past. We find a similar concept in the journey of Klal Yisrael through the Midbar. The 40 years that they traveled through the Midbar, they had 42 masos. In Parshas Maseh, the Torah goes a great length detailing all the places where they traveled. The pasuk starts out, it says, Vayichtav Moshe es moitzaim l'maaseim ve'elu maaseim l'moitzaim. So what is this double lashon? The masois, the moitzois. There was the travels, and there were the destinations. And the pasuk changes the order. First it says, Moitzeim l'Maseyim, their destinations from their travels, and then the travels, the Maseyim l'Moitzeim. Why the double lashon? Why the shinu lashon? But perhaps that this is really the pshat, this is the concept. That they traveled in Mitzrayim, they traveled in the Midbar, leaving Mitzrayim, they traveled in the Midbar, as the Malbim says, as the Malbim explains, that each journey, each place that they traveled, was another process of purification to elevate them. They traveled at each journey, they had their nisyonos, they had to trust in the Rabbeinu Shalom, the Rabbeinu Shalom would protect them throughout this great Midbar, this vast desert. They had to see the Yad Hashem and achieve a new level of bitochen in the Rabbeinu Shalom. And then they traveled from journey to journey, 42 stops. Each stop, each destination was not just a stop on the way to get to Eretz Yisrael. It was a process of purification. And it was this double level, the departing, leaving the past, leaving Mitzrayim, coming to one stop, and leaving that madrega, and coming to a new madrega. Sur meira ba'asei toiv, letting go of beliefs, letting go of bad character traits, letting go of achsorn and amuna, leaving that behind, and going to another higher level, a higher level of kedusha and tahara, of bitochen and amuna. Each level, departing, and arriving at a new destination. And that's the process of life. That's the process of avodas Hashem. And perhaps that's why the pasuk by Sefirat HaOmer says, Mimochres HaShabbos, that the count starts, Mimochres HaShabbos. Alshich says, Shabbos is the day of when we rest, the day when we let go of the mundane, the day that we let go of all the malacha. That was Mimorchas HaShabbos, when they had to start to let go of the past, let go of Mitzrayim, let go of the Tumah, and start that process of purification, start that journey, the journey of letting go, arriving at a new destination, arriving at a new level, a new madrega of Avodas Hashem, and again, counting, letting go of all those koichas, the koichas of Tumah, and being endowed with new koichas of kedusha and tahara. Mimochres HaShabbos, the dafka, the counting had to start Mimochres HaShabbos. And there was two countings. The Torah mentions Sefirat twice, because there's the counting where we count the days from where we came from. We moved away. We're counting that there's one day that we're further away from Mitzrayim. Day two, a second day, we're even further away. We move further away from Mitzrayim. There are the days that we count the distance that we moved, that we've traveled away from the past, away from the Tumah. And then there's the second counting of where we're going. The counting of where we're going to Matan Torah, we're going to Shuas. That's the second counting. The Torah mentions the counting twice because that is the process of the Avodas Hashem, the process of purification, counting, moving away from the past, moving away from the Tumah, and where we're going to, where is our destination, where are we going towards? We're going towards Matan Torah, to Kedusha v'Tahara. And that's the process of Avodas Hashem. That was Klal Yisrael leaving Mitzrayim, that was the Sefirat HaOmer. And that's each and every one of ours, Sefirat HaOmer. Usfartem lachem. The Torah makes a point. Usfartem lachem. Each and every one of you have to count. As the Or Sameach says, to show you that it's not just a mitzvah on Bezdin. It's a mitzvah called yochid v'yochid. Each and every one of us have to count. Each and every one of us have our journey. Our journey of Avodas Hashem, the journey of life. And each and every one of us have things that we have to let go of, and things that we have to strive for and try to attain and achieve. And the process of growing, the process of elevating ourselves and reaching a sublime level involves letting go of what's holding us back, letting go of the Kaychas Tumah, and journeying towards a Malkum of Kedusha, of Kabbalah's HaTorah. Just conclude with a personal anecdote that illustrates this point. When I was a younger man, I was learning in Eretz Yisrael. As a Bocher, I was learning in Eretz Yisrael, and later as a younger man. And the time came to come back to Toronto. So I said goodbye to my Rebbeim, to my Rosh Yeshivas, and I made an appointment to say goodbye to one of my Rosh Yeshivas, Rabbi Goyen, Rabbi Dovid Hofstedter, Sefirat Tzadik Livrocha. And he told me the following. He says, when you go to Toronto, do not get involved with the Tzarchei Tzibur. Don't be involved with the moistus and fundraising, and don't be involved with that. And I looked at him in shock and surprise. The house that I grew up in, this was Kodesh Kadoshim, my parents, my in-laws, helping the moistus, building Torah. In that way, that was their life's mission. And obviously he knew that I was somewhat taken aback, and he explained to me as follows. He says, you're a younger man right now. When you go and you travel, you go back to Toronto, don't go back to where you came from and what you came from. You're now a younger man. Go to Toronto as a younger man. Start off learning Torah, Yom V'Layla, as a younger man. And don't worry, the time will come. You will be asked, and you'll participate in the Tzarchei Tzibur and the building of Torah. But the foundation that you have to start with is a foundation of your newly attained level as a younger man, learning Torah, and on that, built on that foundation. And all of that, the rest, it will come. But you have to now solidify the madrega that you've attained right now and build on that. And that's the process of life. Moving away, letting go of what we have to let go of. Striving to attain greater heights, solidifying that, building on that, and moving higher and higher. Sur meira va'aseh.